Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings are up on our 32-day coverage, not 32 days, but 32-team coverage here on the NFL. We did the Bears, we did the Lions, and now we're up to the second place from 2021 Minnesota Vikings. Tomorrow we got the Green Bay Packers. So there are people out there that are living under the impression that this year in particular could be the Vikings' year to leap the Lambeau Leapers, the Green Bay Packers. Now, why? Why would you say that? Some key losses for the Minnesota Vikings over the offseason. Not a lot. A couple tight ends here and there. Anthony Barr goes to Dallas. Xavier Woods, who Joy Taylor and the people at FS1, they don't even have a clue as to what team he played for last year. But guess what? He was a Viking and he's gone. They did sign some decent guys. One of them being your boy, Zadaria Smith. Everybody forgets about that because it happened so early in free agency. They also signed Jordan Hicks as a linebacker. They had themselves a decent draft too. The last pick of the first round, they wound up getting Lewis Assign, the safety, defensive MVP of the NCAA championship game, or whatever they fucking call it nowadays. The second round, they traded back up to get some more secondary help because secondary was a problem last year for Andrew Booth Jr. That's what they needed. They needed defensive help.
Dalvin Cook suspension? No.
What?
No. That you're thinking of Kamara, I think.
Yeah. You're thinking
And also no.
Wrong guy.
I don't think he's getting suspended
I
either.
was like, okay, I'll leave. I was kidding. As I watched the viewer count go down. Anyway, so the Minnesota Vikings, obviously now the big conversation piece for the Vikings is Kirk Cousins, okay? There's so many people that are hot and cold on this guy. I am, for one, on the cold side of Kirk Cousins. I know people say that I think one guy posted in Chop Sports, the Facebook group, his stats where he was like, how is he not a top 10 guy?
Side with the Kirk Cousins thing, for whatever reason, Kirk Cousins is who we thought he was.
They let him off the hook.
And he's been on the hook. He's still on the hook, though.
He's still very on the hook.
Yeah, look, Kirk Cousins, everyone's like, look at his numbers. He's top 10. Show me when, in any season that Kirk Cousins is playing, that he's a top 10 quarterback. He's simply not. Kirk Cousins is ranked right where he should be ranked. He has good counting stats, but when it comes to playing the quarterback position, you have to excel in bigger moments, and he's shrunk. And I'm not saying he is shrunk, but his team doesn't win games in big moments, and I want to say he's the culprit. I'm not saying he's the only one, but
the Vikings have shrunk in moments where you're supposed to take advantage of these situations. Like the Minnesota Vikings hosted the Dallas Cowboys last year, and Dak Prescott missed the game. So that game, right off the rip, you got to win that game, and you let Cooper Rush come in there and beat you. That's very alarming. Look, so for anybody that's jumping all over the Minnesota Vikings right now as like the next up and coming team, I'm not going to pretend and say that they don't have a good team, because they have some of the best players in football on their roster. It's just a matter of leadership. And that's where I question Kirk Cousins, because you got your Dalvin Cooks. You got your Madisons, who's a great supplemental back. We've seen him a million times, right? A million carries. Their receiving core is great. It's Justin Jefferson, going to be a top 5, top 6 pick in fantasy drafts because he's that goddamn good, right? And then you have Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, a guy that people don't talk about. Another guy people don't talk about is Irv Smith Jr., very athletic tight end. So their offense is good. Their defensive woes continued last year. They let up some points, and they have players, right? I mean, but if you have to rely on guys
play football?
Yeah, their whole lives. But some of the guys that they have and they have to rely on are guys like they're right now in their cornerback room is Patrick Peterson. Like, are you relying on him to cover the number one receiver somewhere?
It's like like the Zeke of corners.
That's what I'm saying. It's
the Zeke of the cornerback position.
Oh, you better watch your mouth, my friend. Watch your mouth. Anyway,
I mean, he's a great pass blocker.
Fair comparison.
Shut up.
Fair
up.
Comparison.
Everybody shut
Fair
up.
comparison.
Dave.
A lot of tread on all those tires.
A lot of tread. Anyway, schedule time. So they're coming in with last year 8-9 record. This year they're projected from most sites at 9. I've seen 9.5 to get you kind of worried about your pick here, but 9 is the play. So you look at the first couple games of their schedule. It's not pretty, right? They got to open up on 9/11 against the Green Bay Packers. So that, right off the rip, is I put a question mark. I don't know. They're home. So Green Bay has to go on the road to play Minnesota. And just, traditionally, it ain't easy when the Packers go to Minnesota.
I'd rather get them week 1, honestly, than get them in like a sneaky situation. I think the Packers are a better team. They're favored by 2 in that game.
Ready for this? They got the Packers in week 1 and then the Packers in week 17. Yeah. So there's like a very long stretch between those teams playing each other. But the first couple of weeks, Green Bay at Philly, Detroit at home, the Saints at home, the Bears at home. Right off the rip, I say the worst, or at least go into week 6 at Miami. I say they lose that game. Miami, like I said, I think are going to be all right. But like in that stretch, the first 6 games are going to be pivotal because tomorrow we'll talk about the Packers and their first 6 games because once this division gets rolling, if Rodgers gets into a groove or all of a sudden like they're like Devontae who, and I'm sure it's never going to be the case where they're going to say that, but I'm saying like if he gets rolling and everybody's like, wow, this motherfucker hasn't missed a beat, so that means good luck, Vikings. You cannot play catch up in this division. If the Packers get rolling, you will not catch up. So that's why the beginning stretch of the Viking season is very, very pivotal. After their bye, they got Arizona, they got at Washington, then they got to play Buffalo, then they got to play Dallas, and of course, I'm not giving them a win over Dallas because, again, that game's in Minnesota, but shit, I mean, it's not like we haven't beat them in Minnesota 2 years in a row. Why are we playing the Vikings 3 years in a fucking row is beyond me.
So
we
the Packers
as in
played in
Cowboys.
Week 17, you mean Week 18?
No, 18. The 18 they have the Bears. They have 2 division games at the end of the year. But anyway, so I'm looking at, and I'm trying to peel out the wins here. And within the division, they should probably split with everybody but the Bears. I say they sweep the Bears. They probably split with the Lions, and I think somehow, some way, like the only way, I'll tell you right now, the only way you split with the Packers is if you get them in week 1. If you just if the Packers throw up a stinker like they did last year.
Or the Packers actually have a really good year and they don't care later. But I think they will.
I think they will too. Just considering that game's in Green Bay at the end of the year, they'll probably be playing for a 1 or 2 or some shit like that.
If it was week 18, then it might not. But week 17, even if it's just you can't sit out 2 weeks and then a bye if that's the case. So no, yeah, they'll be playing there.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, for the Vikings to relatively be competitive in this division, it's almost like I look. I'm not about to sit here and tell you that week 1 is going to be like a must win, but like you gotta have this week. Like you got one, it'll set people in a spiral. I mean, Gooch last year watched the Saints kick the shit out of the Packers, and then the rest was history. Nobody cared because the Packers just went on a tear. So that very well could happen again. The recipe could be there. The writing could be on the wall for the Packers to be like, okay, like I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen because I'm Nostradamus all of a sudden. I can call this right now. The Packers will lose to the Vikings in week 1, right? Aaron Rodgers will have a non-Aaron Rodgers type game, meaning he's going to throw a pick, which doesn't really happen often. And people are going to be like, Rodgers, it's over. And then Rodgers is going to be like, relax, and then he's going to kill people. I like where you're going to end
up with this comment, but the Packers aren't losing week 1. Everything else is maybe he has a bad game or something, and then they keep winning. But stop with the fucking Green Bay losing week 1 to the Vikings. I can't go 0-1 2 years in a row.
Yeah, you can. It's easy. We do it a lot. Cowboys have done it plenty of times.
My team's known for doing it all.
Yeah, I was going to say the Giants go 0-1 pretty much every year. But anyway, so I'm looking at this roster and I'm looking at this schedule, and I think the floor for the Minnesota Vikings is 9 wins right there. Because they're going to get some wins. They do have talent, right? They have the guys to get some wins and put up some points against some bad defensive teams. However, where are they going to be in those close games? Where are they going to be in the primetime games? Where is Kirk Cousins going to play here? Like Kirk Cousins, much like the Bears, what I talked about last night, that the Bears' success rides and dies with the progress that Fields makes in year 2. I feel the same way here. The Vikings aren't built to run the football forever and never rely on Kirk Cousins. There will be games where Cousins down 5 on his own 25 with 3 minutes to go, and you're going to wonder, can he lead him down the field, and win the game? I don't know. The ceiling for them, I feel like, could be 11, maybe. But that you really got to scrounge out some wins. You got to beat Green Bay once at least. You got to beat other teams that are on your schedule. I have a question mark here in Week 15. They host the Colts. It's like, I don't know, man. It's Matt Ryan versus Kirk Cousins.
It's hard to handicap a Week 15 game now.
I did call myself Nostradamus. Thank you very much.
Very hard, but I don't see 11 wins on any day ever with this team. No way. And Kirk Cousins, I hate to break it to everybody out there, specifically you, he's not going to improve. He is who he is. You're
not breaking this to me. I don't think he's good.
You're not going to get a better version of Kirk Cousins. He might make some plays down the stretch, but it's not because he's a better football player now. He's not making any movements like that. I think it really is pivotal is the defense going to take that step because they were able to score points fast last year, but they couldn't stop anybody on the back end. Mm-hmm. And I think more of the same is going to be taking place. Zadaria Smith, he's a nice addition if he could stay on the field. Last year, look, I'm not going to sit here and bash the guy. He was a really good Packer. but injuries derailed his season last year. Week 1,
Still got paid though, so they must have some kind of optimism for him.
Yeah, because he's a elite pass rusher.
I love him. I wanted him in Dallas.
And the last time you've seen him on the football field, he was wreaking havoc. So he has potential to come back strong, but he wasn't really a guy that was a blue chipper coming out. It took him a couple years to get his feet wet in the league. He played, sparingly in Baltimore. Speaking of Baltimore, he burned Baltimore in free agency. And
I remember that. Wasn't that almost like an Anthony Barr situation where people thought he was signed, sealed, delivered, and then he's like,
hold up. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go elsewhere.
I think that he has potential to change the face of that defense a little bit if he could get after the quarterback, but I don't know, man. And Danielle Hunter is back.
I love him.
He's
I
one
love
of the
Hunter.
most underrated players in football.
Well, Harrison Smith. I know you hate Harrison Smith.
I don't hate Harrison Smith. I just don't think he's as good as everyone else does.
Oh, Ken literally at the same time just said Harrison Smith, the ageless wonder. I love him. I love Harrison Smith too. I think, except when he's trying to choke out CeeDee Lamb like he did last year.
I don't think he's that
Punk
great.
Bitch.
But yeah, you could put the Vikings down for a very similar situation that they were in last year. I think 9 is a good number, a safe number, and I think that they're going to be right around it. I'll say they push. If the total is 9, push.